Hello, in this video, I want to share something with you about boundaries that's very important. You know, a lot of the time in life, we try to set boundaries and we're not very successful, or maybe they work for a little while and then we kind of slip back into old habits and we kind of let things go, or we don't quite sort of assert ourselves in the way that we'd like to. And the one big mistake that I see time and again in my practice with my clients, a lot of my clients struggle with relationships and boundaries. And the one thing I see is that we tend to forget that if we're going to set a boundary, there has to be a consequence. There's no point saying to somebody, this is what I want, or this is what I don't want, and then not actually having any consequence if nothing changes, because you're just signaling to that person then, well, you're kind of moaning a bit or something, and that nothing, you're not really sort of serious. It's more about sort of offloading your feelings than actually wanting things to change in a very real sense. When you have consequences for boundaries, it's not about speaking to somebody in a kind of bossy way and saying, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. It's not about setting up, barriers and being sort of overly controlling. And it's just about being clear. And sometimes we don't really even need to say the consequence to the person. It depends on the situation, obviously, but we need to know the consequence in our heart and our mind. We need to know what we will do differently if this boundary is not respected. And just by knowing that, when we communicate that boundary, we come across in that way. We come across as sort of firm and clear and assertive. We don't come across as, I'm upset and I'm worried and I don't like this and please don't do it, and a kind of making it more about ourselves than about the situation. So always have that consequence. Sometimes you might need to state that consequence. It depends on the situation. But for yourself, at least, know what that consequence is. Quite often, when people talk about boundaries, they are talking about relationships and being disrespected in relationships. And when they try to think of a consequence, all they can think of is, well, I'll have to leave the relationship. I don't know what else to do because I've tried this and I've tried that. And but what they tend to do is they keep threatening to leave the relationship, but of course they never do. And what that does is that gives the message to the other person that, well, they're just sounding off again. It comes back to this, they're just being sort of emotional and talking about their feelings and, sort of maybe complaining a bit, but they're not actually ever going to leave. So that's okay. I'll just carry on as I am. They may not be consciously making that decision, consciously thinking about that, but that's the kind of message that you're giving them, and that they're kind of just following through from what you're signaling to them. So if it is a situation that's serious enough that you think you might not be able to tolerate something and you might have to leave the relationship, by all means say it once or twice. Obviously, you have to say this is a possibility of what might happen. But don't keep saying it over and over, because then it won't be taken seriously. You may want to go and get some couples sessions, for example, some therapy sessions to see if you can resolve the issue. But then you may need to make that decision. But it's not always a big consequence like that. It's not always about having to leave a relationship. There are lots of situations where we can have consequences for the boundaries that we set if the person doesn't respect those boundaries. So, for example, if somebody often disrespects you in a conversation, perhaps their communication is very disrespectful, your boundary can be to leave the conversation. And that's an occasion when you can say to them, this is what will happen. I can't be in a conversation where disrespect is happening, so I'm going to step back from that conversation. And the thing about boundaries is to come across in a positive way. Try not to be, if this happens, then that will happen, and it's all very negative. Try to sort of flip that around a little bit. So when you're disrespecting me in a conversation, I find that difficult. I'm going to step away from that conversation. But when you do respect me, it will be great. And I look forward to coming back into that conversation so that we can kind of have an adult to adult conversation there, and we can resolve whatever the situation is, or whatever the conversation is about. I'm looking forward to that. That will be great. So you see, you can be more positive about consequences. There are other situations as well with boundaries and consequences. For example, if somebody's often late and it really does annoy you, you can let them know in a positive way by saying, I have this thing about timekeeping, and this is one of my rules. I always wait for somebody, but if they don't turn up after 15 minutes or half an hour or an hour, whatever works for you, then I leave. And so it's not about you're always late and I hate you for that and I'm really angry with you. It's just, these are my rules. This is what I do in my life. And I just have this thing about timekeeping. So I'm just letting you know how it works, and be great when you turn up. You know, I'll wait for a while, and I look forward to seeing you. So you see, that's another consequence. And then, for example, there's, you know, emotional people, you know, they call them emotional vampires, don't they? Those people who maybe call us up or come to visit us, and they kind of, oh, I just want to tell you all my problems and dump, and everything's so negative, and I'm just kind of using you to dump all this stuff. Then I'll feel better and off I'll go and I'll be happy, and you'll just be left going, oh, I'm drained with all this. What consequence can we put on that? We want to be supportive for people, but we don't want to be just used in that way. And this person might not realize quite what they're doing. A consequence that we can put on that, a boundary, is just to make very clear to that person at the beginning of the conversation, I understand that you're upset. I want to be here. I like hearing you and I like listening and being here for you. But I'm quite tired and I don't have a lot of energy. So I can give you 15 minutes if you need to talk, or an hour, or again, whatever works for you. But I'm letting you know that at the end of that time, I will have to stop. You don't even have to say it quite in those words, but you just say, I've got half an hour, whatever. And then when it gets to that time, just before that time, you can say to that person, gosh, you know, I can feel my battery's draining now. As I said, I only had a certain amount of time. So I hope that that's been helpful for you. And I'm always around. I might not always have endless time, but I can give you that, whatever the time is. It might be 5 minutes if that's all you want to give. You decide. The other thing that sometimes people have boundaries and consequences are about money. And it can be with good friends, maybe family members, maybe the grown-up kids, you know, your son, your daughter, they've sort of reached an age where they really ought to be a bit more financially independent. And you don't mind helping them out here and there, but perhaps they keep asking. And you want to set a boundary on that. There needs to be a consequence. You can't just say, well, yes, here's some more money, here's some more money, or I feel worried about you, here's some more money. With anybody who keeps asking us for money, we need to put a consequence on that. We need to say, that's going to have to stop. And what we can do is not say, right, I'm not giving you any more money, because that's kind of, you know, it brings up a lot around, you know, how am I treating this person? Am I letting them down? But what you can do is say, this is the last time. I haven't got the money, or I haven't got it in my budget. That's a really good phrase to use. I haven't got it in my budget, because you're not saying I haven't got the money. You're saying I'm not allocating the money I've got to this specific thing. So I haven't got it in my budget. Here is this loan or gift or whatever, however it is, but I won't be able to do that again. And I'm giving you some warning of that, giving you fair warning. And then when they do come and say, can I borrow some more money? Say, do you remember what I said? I don't have it in my budget. So always think about the consequences of your boundaries when you're setting them. Sometimes you might want to communicate those consequences to somebody. Sometimes just simply knowing the consequences in your own mind will help you to communicate that boundary in a more kind of clear and assertive way, as kind of you have certainty and you feel confident in what you're saying, rather than this sort of voice that we sometimes have when we feel a bit uncertain and we come across as, I'm a bit unsure, and is it okay, and I'm feeling a bit guilty. And, you know, if you're clear of the consequence, you'll come across as being much more confident. And remember, always try and put a positive spin on the consequence. So when the good thing happens, then this good thing can happen. I have another video about boundaries and how they're all about love and not about fear, as we sometimes think. And I'll link to that in this video. So if you found this video helpful, I'd love to hear your comments. Have you tried to set boundaries without consequences and found yourself kind of drifting on, nothing ever changes? What do you think about what I've said about consequences? Has that been helpful? If you like the video, hit the thumbs up like button so that other people will get to see it more. And that way you're helping me to help them. And don't forget to subscribe so that you get the notifications of all the other videos that I'm making. Sending you love. Bye-bye for now.